Hi, I'm Lisa Duke, broker of Lisa Duke Realty. And I wanted to tell you the number one reason a home doesn't sell is price. One house is going to have four different perceived values. You've got the seller, the buyer, the realtor, and the appraiser. So we have to align all four of those values in order for a home to sell. And I have with me CJ Wright, our listing agent. And CJ, can you tell folks what does a realtor have in mind when you're coming up with the value of a home?
When I come into a home, one of the first things that I do is I look around and evaluate its features, amenities. I'm looking for the story that this home is going to tell. I'm looking for the upgrades like the Corian counters. I'm looking for things that have been done to increase the home's value in the recent years, like if you've been there for any length of time, maybe in the last 3 to 5 years. So because what I hear from a seller is, oh, my house has Corian and my house has this high-grade linoleum and my house has this Sherwin-Williams paint, and they spent a fortune on that. Those are things that money came out of their pocket to put into this home to make it a pleasing home for them to live in. The challenge there is that when the buyer comes in, if the buyer doesn't make an emotional connection with the house, then it's difficult for them to see, you just spent how much for those Corian counters? Because I really don't even like them. But when you have people making emotional decisions that are not backed up by fact, then people get taken advantage of. So it's our job as professionals to make sure those worlds come together and we balance out the buyer's emotional connection with the seller's needs, wants, and desires. And what does a seller want? A seller wants to sell for the most money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. And that's our job, to try to make that happen for everyone, and then put it all in a package and tie it up, put a bow on it, and hand it to the appraiser to make their job as easy as possible. So we at Lisa Duke Realty understand the connections and the differences between these jobs and the elements of them. We pull them together along with our amazing marketing plans, and that's how we get our homes sold.
So you've got in mind what the seller wants, and now you've addressed what the buyer, what it's going to take to get a buyer to walk in that door, how it's going to appeal, what is the condition, and how does it compare. So you've determined that price it takes to get the it takes to get the buyer in the door. And you mentioned the third key piece is what it's going to appraise for. Can you tell a little bit about that process? How do you determine what the appraiser is going to appraise for?
Using that strategy of itemizing and finding like for like. The comment that I just love, cringe, but Zillow says my house is worth. Zillow doesn't know what the inside of your house looks like. Zillow quite literally looks at square footage and general proximity and nothing more. They're not even looking at lot size. They're rarely I'm not even sure they can tell if the house is on a pond or not, what the view is. And using our local market here as an example, Zillow will compare homes in Victoria Lakes to homes in Sheffield Village. And if you're from Ocean Way, you understand there's a difference there. It's unfortunate, but there is a difference there. Zillow can't see that. And that's the value in bringing in a real estate professional.
So use a local agent to get your current market value. Don't just rely on a computer model. Sellers will tell us, my neighbor's house just sold for $250,000. My house is a lot nicer, so I want $275,000. Sellers, if you overprice, the buyers are not going to come. They are going to go to the homes that price right. The 5 homes right around the corner, those are the ones they're going to look at. Don't price high and plan to negotiate the price down. Price so buyers come into the house, fall in love with the house, make an offer, and then you can negotiate. We have a very special guest, local appraiser, Donnie Wright. And in my opinion, he is probably the most knowledgeable appraiser in the Northside area. And I think that's not because he just does a lot of business and experience of appraising homes, but you also live in the area of Northside.
Sure do.
Yep. And I don't know if you know, but we're always excited to know when you get assigned to appraise one of our listings.
Yes.
But we have you here because we want you to share as an appraiser, where is the mindset of an appraiser as you approach the value of a home?
Well, you know, some of the upgrades that people do when they go to sell their home, they go out and they put nice floors in, they put different upgrades into the kitchen and the bathroom. And sometimes they expect to have dollar for dollar return on those investments, but that's not necessarily true. Some things are sellability features, some are value features. So when an appraiser comes in, we're looking at the condition of the house and looking at things that they have done, but those are not all what we consider in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so I know for us as agents, we always tell sellers those upgrades are going to make your home more sellable. It's going to sell faster. But unfortunately, when Donnie comes in to appraise, he is there to appraise for the bank.
Yes.
And what is it the banks are targeting? Why are the banks hiring you? What is it they are wanting from you?
The fair market value. They're not looking for the difference in the grade of carpet that you have or the grade of wood that you have. Floors are floors, and so when you're looking at putting a type of flooring in, just be aware of what the market calls for, because adjustments for differences are market driven, not by cost. So that's how we come up with that.
Thank you, Donnie, for coming to spend time with us. And I hope you guys have learned that the appraiser has to come in and appraise for the bank and what the bank's willing to loan. So if you have spent all that money on a summer kitchen and upgraded floors and insulation, do know it is going to help us sell a lot faster. So we have here Dana Moore Griffiths. Dana has worked with a lot of buyers, and we're talking about how different people in the transaction perceive value. Dana, how do you hear buyers often talk about the value of a home when they're wanting to make an offer?
A lot of times what they'll do is they'll go to the city website, the property appraisers, and they'll look up the taxable value, or they'll look at the value on there, and that is completely wrong. First of all, when you're looking at the value there, it's last year's or before they've done any improvements. And they're also looking at the tax values, which that'll take off for the homestead exemption. And that'll make a big difference whenever somebody has a lot of exemptions. It's not accurate, it's not close, it's not where we are. And when we go in, we are looking at today's market.
Correct.
This month, not last year. So.
Now, the buyer's opinion of the house or the things they're wanting to do once they move in, does that often impact their offer?
Yes, when they come in, they see the flooring. It might not be the flooring that they want. It's not that anything's necessarily wrong with it. It's they're thinking, well, I'm going to need to do some painting. I'm going to need to be putting in new flooring. I really need to update the bathroom or the countertop. It's something that, is nothing wrong with it. There is no problem with it, but everybody has different tastes. And then they're thinking in the back of their mind, I need to do this, and this is something that I really want to do, so I want to make sure that I have money, and I want to make sure that I don't want to put it on the back burner just to get this one house. They think about these things.
So buyers, don't go to the tax appraiser sites to determine the value of a house. Talk to your agent, and you're not going to unfortunately be able to get every upgrade or improvement you want off of the price of the house, but your agent is going to try to help you get a good deal. So again, consult with your local realtor to get the current market value. We want you to sell your home for the most you possibly can, but it's got to be at a price where the buyer's going to walk through, make an offer, and that the appraiser is going to be able to appraise your home.